guys, welcome back to the Comic Book Lowdown again. Second video today, so third video in 2 days. Wasn't expecting to do this video, especially today. I actually had this video thought up in my head for the past couple days, thinking about doing an off the dome, which this is. Haven't done one of those in a while, but I was thinking about doing this as an off the dome video. But I didn't think it was very relevant, so I kind of just pushed it to the archives of my mind of things to do and things I like to talk about and just things I like to think about. But I don't know. I guess it was. Hang on. I guess it was kind of. When was this video made? Within this week, really, that this issue of geek posers and things of that nature were brought up, and I don't really want to use the terms poser and things like that, but for the sake of the video and for the sake of understanding, we'll go with those terms. And people are kind of, they're not getting on them, but they're kind of posing their disagreement and also agreement with Howler Mouse on this issue, because I think he was the first to post a video on it. I just finished watching Howler Mouse's video, and I also watched Greco Fabulous's video, and I also watched Running with Comics video. And so, I kind of, and I've also been thinking about this for the past couple of days as well, so I kind of have an idea of what I think, and then an idea of what other people are thinking out there. First off, I want to say some people are not getting Howler Mouse's message, I think, the way that he intended them to get it. Before having watched it and having watched other videos first, I thought, I was thinking that he was kind of bashing. But after watching his video, not the case at all. What he's really saying is we've all come into contact with the person that, for example, will wear a Batman shirt out in public, and they're really just a fan of the movie, and so maybe you're very outgoing and you go up to this person and you introduce yourselves, you guys are kind of talking well with each other, and then you want to talk about Batman in comics, and they're not really sure as to what you're talking about because they're not into comics. And so I guess they would be labeled as posers for wearing a Batman shirt, but not necessarily to that extent. Maybe you're thinking about cosplayers as well, and who go all out in dress of a character. And I say that I guess there would be a different levels, different sections of geekdom, because to be a geek, you don't really have to be steadfast in comic books or video games or things like that. There's also the I guess I'd rather call them the steady geek, who just like, for example, somebody who's really just a fan of the superhero movies. You could say they geek out over the superhero movies. They just don't geek out over all the characters themselves, like in a comic book. Some people can't read comic books. There's people that have tried comic books and they can't do it, not because they don't necessarily like it, but because they can't control themselves from ruining it by looking at the next page and seeing the what's coming next. Because it's kind of hard to go about, and we all know it is kind of hard to go about panel to panel with the willpower not just look at what's coming, what's to come. So I would say that these posers, the poser that Howler Mouse is talking about is the kind of, I wouldn't even call them a poser. I would call them the arrogant person. The arrogant know-it-all kind of person is the kind of person, either the arrogant person or the self-centered person, really. the person that can't really, you can't have a conversation with that person about something that you love, because naturally, if you want to talk about something that you love and the other person is kind of bashing it, but bashing it because they don't know, but they're bashing it because, it doesn't go in their brain, it's frustrating to talk to that person about that thing. So, for example, if I'm talking about, let me try to get a good example here. If I'm talking about SpiderMan, if I want to talk about SpiderMan and his... I want to talk about Spider-Man and Venom and their kind of relationship with each other in comic books. And, their long relationship from the 80s and then to now, how things are now with Flash Thompson, Venom, things like that. If I want to talk about that, and I want to say, wow, Venom's a really cool guy. He's one of Spider-Man's toughest villains, things of that nature. And then I'm talking to it with somebody who just got out of seeing Spider-Man 3, was like, oh, that character sucks because Topher Grace played him in the movie. And they kind of throw these movie facts at me. I can see where they could geek out over the movie and be like, that movie sucked. And I would say, yeah, I agree with you. But in this context that I'm talking about, we're talking about a different thing. And they're kind of... blowing me off as to that, and they're kind of blowing me off as not knowing what I'm talking about, when really it's just we're not seeing eye to eye on the actual topic we're talking about, if you guys get where I'm going. That's where it's frustrating to have these kind of poser types that kind of come into something and they kind of want to be a know-it-all, really. And they don't want to listen, they don't want to have a conversation, they kind of want to keep what they know, or what they think to be true, their opinion, and they don't want to be swayed from it, or even be introduced to something new that might alter their opinion. That's where it becomes frustrating, because it's not really a problem with somebody being a geek poser or things like that. It's really a problem with just people who are very closed-minded, and that's really the problem that I see with these arrogant poser people. Not because, say for example, you go to a Comic-Con, you see a bunch of people. I know Howler Mouse brings up some cosplayers, and the people that cosplay because they love the character, and the people that cosplay because they, want the attention to themselves. In that situation, I would say the cosplayer, whether they love the character or not even know who the character is, they just know what they look like. I think that's a whole nother realm in itself, where you geek out over the construction of the costume, the presentation of the costume in public, and the reaction of it, the reaction to it, and to you having constructed this, most of the time, very well put together costume that makes the person look like the character. And in that sense, I would say it kind of sucks that you might not know anything about the character, but you're geeking out over something else. You're not geeking out on the character. You're kind of geeking out on the on your ability to construct such a great looking costume that looks like this character, and you present it in a way that is, brings attention to yourself. I have no problem with that. Even if, if you dress up like Iron Man and you tell me his name is, you don't tell me his name is Tony Stark, you tell me his name is Robert Downey Jr., naturally I'm going to be like, Iron Man's name is Tony Stark, I'll tell you that, but I'm not going to say, take off that costume, you don't deserve to wear it. And I don't think Howler Mouse would do that either, but I'm just saying, to an extreme, they're they're geeked out over something that resembles comic book geekdom, because I kind of bring it all back to comic books, because that's what we in this community really do. For the most part, we talk about comics, so I'll bring everything back to comics when I talk about something else. But even though the people are geeking out over comic book characters and their look, they're not geeking out over the actual character and, you know, their personality and things like that, and what they've done, and even who writes them, what their name is. Even to that extent, they're really geeking out over their look and their ability to construct such a costume that resembles that character. What else? I had another thing. Like, again, so you bring up, and it is true, bring up that the geeky trend is in. You know, you got people wearing the glasses that have the lens cut out. You know, they got people, you know, you look at an NBA post-game conference and you got Kevin Durant wearing this plaid shirt buttoned up all the way to the top with his glasses lens free, and you know, kind of embracing that 1980s geek look, I guess you could say, the Revenge of the Nerds geek look. And so, you know, you got people kind of embracing that, and what I think is frustrating about that, now, this is where I kind of will get into things that kind of frustrate me about that trend, is that people will totally embrace one thing that is relative to the trend, and they'll completely bash the thing that is relative to it. So I'll go into detail by saying, I have some friends that really, really love the Batman movies, or they really, really love the Avengers movie. And then I'll say, well, I was reading this Batman comic book, or I was reading this Avengers comic book, even though I don't really read Avengers, but I'll say I'd be reading this Batman comic book, and they'll blow me off as some kind of, you know, some kind of weirdo, because, God forbid, that I read into more detail with it, and I read the comic book. I kind of associate myself with what's going on with now, and I didn't just watch the movie. And I would say to them, you know, if you like the movie so much, pick up an issue. You know, I'm not forcing you, but, you know, be open-minded to try something, to try an issue of Batman, and see how you like it. And then, you know, you can come to me if you don't like it, be like, oh, you know, you're an idiot. And I'll say, well, it's really because you didn't like it. But it's really goes back to, again, you know, kind of closed-minded people that, you know, they want to stay in their realm, and we as geeks who like to embrace the geekdom as it naturally is, I guess you could say, we like to expand our, you know, our interest into, you know, movies, into TV shows, into comics, from wherever we started. We like to branch out, and we like to try out new things, and so when we encounter somebody who's not like that, it kind of irks us in a way that, you know, we see you embracing something that we also love, but then at the same time you bash the thing that we love and the same thing that you're embracing, so it's kind of almost hypocritical. And I hope you guys are getting my point throughout this video. I don't know if I'm putting it out there too clearly, but I had another thing as well. Man, I had another thing. I was talking about the geekdom. If it comes back to me, I hope it comes back to me, because I thought it was good. I should have wrote this stuff down. I'm sorry for the long pause. I wanted to remember this. Well, I can't remember what I was thinking. Sucks. It was a good point. Son of a bitch. But I hope you guys got what I was saying throughout this video. I feel like I'm ending it short from what I wanted to say, but I hope you guys got what I was saying because oh, this is what I was gonna say. Not gonna end it. Howler Mouse, you talk about some kind of people. I guess you could say older collectors that they kind of see these newer trendy people come in and they're kind of seeing them not embrace it as much as we'd like, and it's kind of like the thing that would frustrate me, and I think Howler Mouse would agree with this. I think you would agree with this. What is frustrating is that you have people embracing these geek things. You could say you have people embracing these characters of Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, X-Men, things of that nature. Wolverine, Tony Stark is Iron Man, the Avengers. You have people embracing all these things wholeheartedly, and yet the main passion. I don't know if allow me to assume that comic books is your main passion. Could not be. I'm not sure, but assuming that it is, it's frustrating to see these people coming up embracing this passion with such or embracing our hobby with such passion, and yet comic books are still not doing as well as you would imagine them to do. With all these people coming up, going to Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con is one of the biggest events in the United States seeming, and yet comic book sales still don't rise to new great heights. So you kind of see these people embracing things but not going all in the way that we'd like them to, because we want to embrace these people, but they kind of want to still keep their distance, that is kind of frustrating. But to that I say, what can we do besides, find these people that are coming in, embracing us, like these new collectors. I would be one, and again, we got Scott running with comics being one, a lot of people in this community being new collectors that at least I've associated with, and all we can do is embrace people like me and the people I've named so far, and converse with them about comics, because you kind of, it's not a issue about true geek over poser. It's really it's really an issue of wanting to have somebody that is, you have one person that's really passionate about something and is seeing all these people that are half-assing it, and then finding that other person that is really passionate about it, if you guys get what I'm saying. I wouldn't say there's a poser problem or things like that. I would just kind of say that it is, there's a problem with people kind of being airheaded about it, about comics, not being very open-minded when you want to have a conversation with it, and then it becomes frustrating to kind of, because nobody likes to have their hobby bashed, and nobody likes to kind of be talked down to when you have your information correct. I know I've many times have had my information correct when talking with somebody who didn't know, and it's frustrating when they kind of blow you off. But to that I say, what can you do there besides, say that they're geeked out about something else. They're geeked out, for example, if I want to have a conversation about Batman again, and I talk about comic Batman, and they only know Christian Bale Batman, I can't call them a poser. I can only call them a geek for the movies. And I guess it's just another subsection of geekdom, and that's all you can call it. I know in Greco's video and also Scott's video, they kind of I feel like they kind of took the wrong approach with kind of associating new collectors into what Howler Mouse was talking about with poser people, and I'm the people I'm thinking of Howler Mouse is referring to are people that are kind of closed-minded, and they don't actually read comics. They kind of just see the character and they've seen them in movies, and they kind of get this know-it-all attitude, and they're very closed-minded with when you want to have a conversation with them. Just frustrating people is what Howler Mouse I taking that he's talking about, and he's not talking about new collectors like, you know, again, like me, Scott, Frank, guys like us, and so forth. I'm not going to name everybody. He's not talking about new collectors, especially new collectors in the community. He's really talking about these closed-minded people that you run into that are, just arrogant. And so on that note, I will bid you adieu, and hopefully this is my last video of the day, because I don't think anybody's going to watch this. But I wanted to get this video out really long. But anyways, Wellington signing off with the Comic Book Lowdown. I'll see you guys next time.